A question that so many people seem to disagree on, and we are going to answer it right here in this video once and for all. And the question is, do we have to give the seller a copy of our inspection reports? Well, we're going to take a look at the Real Estate Commission contract form, see exactly what it says, and answer this question once and for all. Stay with me.
Hey, R Pro.
Hey, R Pro.
Hey, R Pro.
Hey, R Pro.
Hey, R Pro. I have a question.
Buyer is not happy with inspections. They want to back out due to unsatisfactory inspections. Do you have to send the reports?
So you're working with a buyer and they find a property that they love, and doing the wonderful job that you do, you get that property under contract for the buyer. And what's one of the first things that we do? Well, of course, we schedule our inspections and get those inspections completed. Now, when we're doing it the right way, we have a licensed inspector who is going to issue a written inspection report of some kind. And the question that keeps coming up over and over, I can't tell you how many times I've answered this question, is do we have to give the seller a copy of the inspection reports? And there seems to be a lot of disagreement about this question out there in the industry. And I'm going to answer it for you with the words of the contract right here. So let's take a look at this, because the answer is, well, let's see what it says. Now, there's a couple different ways we can look at this question, because once you complete your inspections, you really have kind of a third choice, but let's see what those are. So when you're done with your inspections, what happens next? Well, the buyer has to make a choice, right? They can decide first that they're going to terminate the contract because they're not happy with the results of the inspection. Now, on the other hand, the second choice they have to make is they can, instead of terminating the contract, they can submit a TRR form to request treatments, repairs, and replacements from the seller. Now, there is a third option where the buyer could choose to do nothing and just accept the property as is, but let's assume for the purposes of this video that they're going to make the choice of either terminating the contract or submitting a TRR. And so the question is, if they do one or the other, in which circumstances do they have to give the seller a copy of the inspection reports? The answer is, it doesn't matter. If they're going to terminate the contract or submit a TRR, either way they go, they're required to give the seller a copy of all written inspection reports. So I want you to grab a copy of the Real Estate Commission standard contract form, and let's take a look at it to see exactly what it says. So I'm looking at the top of page 3, paragraph 7C2, and to paraphrase a little bit for simplicity, what this says is that buyer, within 24 hours after the expiration of the inspection period, shall deliver to seller a copy of all written reports obtained by buyer pertaining to the property. So when we look at this, this comes before the buyer makes the decision to either terminate or submit the TRR. Because immediately following this, what does it say? Well, it says they must give the seller a copy of all written inspection reports and then select one of the following: either terminate the contract or submit a TRR. So it doesn't matter whether you're terminating the contract or submitting the TRR. The requirement to submit the inspection reports to the seller comes before you even make that choice. I will tell you, this is not unclear. While it could be worded a little bit better, the language is absolutely crystal clear when you really look at it and unpack it. The buyer, in all cases, no matter what, it doesn't matter what they're doing. It doesn't matter when they terminate. It doesn't matter when they submit their TRR. Within 24 hours after the end of the inspection period, that's the latest deadline, you have to give the seller a copy of all written inspection reports. It's required. The contract mandates it. And listen, here's the deal. There are real things at stake here because it is mandatory. It says the buyer shall deliver to the seller the inspection reports. And I'm aware of at least one case where a buyer lost their earnest money because they refused to give a copy of the inspection reports. What does it matter? This is a silly thing for them to get hung up on. They are absolutely required to do it. So please make sure you are counseling your buyers that all written inspection reports are required to be delivered to the seller no later than 24 hours after the end of the inspection period. Now listen, I want to take a second here and just really emphasize how important it is that you are explaining this contract to your buyers and sellers. It is imperative that you are taking some steps to make sure that they have the information available to understand what this contract says. No, I'm not asking you to practice law, and I understand that you won't be able to answer every question for them, but I think you need to do something to explain the contract to them, which is really difficult in today's age of electronic signatures and electronic transactions. One thing you can do is you can go to rpro.academy/store and purchase our contract explainer video set. We have a 15-minute video for the buyer and one for the seller that explains the contract in about 15 minutes from their perspective. It's going to make you look like an expert. It's going to help make sure you're complying with your obligation to explain this contract. So if that's something that would be helpful to you, please go check that out, rpro.academy/store. Now, I have no doubt somebody watching this video or somebody that you may know is still going to disagree with me, and that's okay, but I want to make sure the information's out there that this is absolutely not up for debate. In my opinion, the contract is crystal clear. The buyer is required to give the seller a copy of all written inspection reports, and they have to do it within 24 hours after the end of the inspection period. So please make sure you're helping your clients comply with that so that they don't end up in breach of contract. And listen, if you thought this video was helpful, I would love it if you would please hit the like button down below and subscribe. We appreciate you checking us out here at RPro Academy. We'll see you next time.